Hi, and welcome. Wait a minute. Let me redo this. Hi, and welcome. Time for another recap of stuff from what I believe is the third week of February 2026, give or take a day. So, pretty lightweight this week, but viewing wise, I decided to tackle Volume 1 of Danza Macabre from Severin. My friend Dave, who I went to Vegas with uh, earlier this month or late last month, time is a construct. He gave this to me for my birthday last year, and it's been sitting on my shelf uh, saying, "Watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me," for a while. So I decided to finally listen to that little voice and watch the movies, four of which are in here. They are The Monster of the Opera, The Seventh Grave, Scream of the Demon Lover, and Lady Frankenstein. Bless you. Sam's over here. He just sneezed. I don't know if you heard that or not. Anyway, the first up of the four films in here was the Monster of the Opera, which was a kind of sort of follow up to a film that is known as The Vampire and the Ballerina. Basically, it was the same director. They said, do that again, and he did it again. But this time, it's basically the Phantom of the Opera, only jazzed up with a pitchfork-wielding vampire. And it is a wild and jaw-droppingly surreal ride. The highlights for me, after the film's weird opening, well, the whole movie's weird, but the dream opening, no spoiler there, is when the dance troupe is trapped in the theater and they have to keep moving to ward off the vampire. So they break out in what could best be described as an interpretive dance marathon to fight against the vampire. Because if they are still, well, then he can grab them. It was briefly mentioned in this book I got from the Profondo Rosso store in Rome, Italy. In fact, I'm going to do a little thing here. As you can see here, I think you can see here, Luigi Cozzi signed it for me to Chad. What a nice man. Let's see, also here they have the poster here on the, I guess this is the right-hand side of the book for the Monster of the Opera, the Vampire of the Opera. And they offer this interesting recap of the film. After The Vampire and the Ballerina, Renato Pasolini directed The Vampire of the Opera, also known as The Monster of the Opera. Written by Ernesto Gastaldi, an interview with which is included on this Blu-ray. It's a winning combination between a vampire film and the Phantom of the Opera story as created by Gaston Leroux. Leroux? Yeah. The Haunted Theater, a setting which will return often in later Italian horror films, is the perfect environment for Pacelli to create an obsessive, claustrophobic atmosphere dominated by an unrestrained, surrealist vein. Eroticism, as well, is much wilder than in Pacelli's previous horror film, as can be seen in the chase scenes, vampiric contaminations, and sapphic scenes. It reaches its peak in the sequence where we meet the chained vampire women in the theater's basement. The theme of female reincarnation is also prominent and represents the vampire's nemesis. No lie detected. Yeah, and the movie makes about as much sense as that direct one-to-one translation. Uh, yeah, 1964 in black and white, and just delightfully oddball. Chad says, check it out. The second film in the set is called The Seventh Grave, and I went in knowing nothing outside of it had really not been available anywhere in any substantive way for almost 50 years, except for like maybe a bad bootleg dub off of like Flemish television or something. And this one wasn't anywhere near as energetic or fun as The Monster of the Opera, but um, and I will say that I did think the slow pace and rather amateurish look and feel of the picture were a tad off-putting. But I can also see why this, also black and white, miasma of Gothic trappings and English whodunit tropes would be of critical interest to genre scholars and fans, as this movie occupies a really strange, creative liminal space between the Gothic genre in Italy and the burgeoning giallo genre in Italy. I would say that it's really worth seeing for the seance sequence alone. And what page was that on? 35? Here we go. We have here, page 35, he goes. And then, again, going back to Italian horror movies, there's actually a little paragraph here. I'll read a portion of it. An apparently haunted castle is the setting of another horror whodunit, The Seventh Grave, by Garibaldi Serra Caracciolo. Sorry. A group of people are summoned for the reading of the late Sir Reginald's testament, but a series of inexplicable events takes place. Seances, macabre apparitions, and mysterious deaths ensue. It sounds a lot more interesting than it actually is. It really is a lot of shots of people like walking up and down hallways and taking a tour of the castle location. It was really funny that because it's set in old Scotland, and so some of the characters are from America, so they go, they show up at this inn, and they go, well, you got to feed them with some American food, an omelet with lard, I guess, which is a bacon omelet. I was like, okay, that's a really weird movie, but again, this whole thing that's part of the surreal, dreamlike oddity of Italian cinema. It's just it's a love it or hate it thing, and I love it. And it's just like, yeah, your tired old rules of logic just don't friggin' apply here. Speaking of rules not applying here, the third movie in the set is Scream of the Demon Lover, which can best be described maybe as a giallo-infused gothic horror reinterpretation of Jane Eyre. But make of that what you will. And as was the case with The Seventh Grave, I found the slow pace to be a tad off-putting, but there were also enough weird, non-sequitur narrative twists and turns and just odd things that I knew I would watch this again at some point, because it's just from a atmosphere and just gothic. Now, the fourth and final film in this delightful box set is Lady Frankenstein, which was actually the movie that I was hoping that I was most looking forward to seeing because, well, it's a Frankenstein movie, and I'd also heard about some of the more boom chicka wow wow aspects of it. So, in fact, the IMDb had a still from the film with a prominent shot of Lady Frankenstein's badonkadonk. But I don't think I'm going to put it on this video because, well, I don't know what the rules of badonkadonk are, and I don't want to find out through trial and error. So you can go to the IMDb or watch the movie actually, and you can see the badonkadonk in action. Let's see, this was on page 36. Okay. When I could talk about Lady Frankenstein, how can I say? The daughter of Frankenstein comes home to spend some time with Dad. Dad is played by the late great Joseph Cotten, who gives a good performance. He knows what he's in. He knows what's required of him, and he does the job and doesn't have any. He's in his I've made my money, I'm just going to enjoy my vacation in Rome stage of his career. And the daughter learns that her dad has transitioned from animal transplants to human transplants, and that he's building a person out of spare parts or parts cribbed from deceased donors. And while the Baron is successful in reanimating, hello Sam, reanimating, you're here. Everybody was wondering when you were going to show up. Here he is. Everybody was wondering, where was I? Oh yes. The Baron's delighted celebration at reanimating a body that he has grafted together from disparate donations, also known as graves, is cut short, along with his life, when his creation has not taken kindly to being resurrected, and then immediately goes on a killing spree around the countryside, which has a connection back to the Frankensteins. And it's really hard trying to make this thing sound logical, because it's not. It's very much, again, very dream logic. Things just kind of vibe along. But the daughter decides that she's going to take her dad's research and make a monster worthy of her, and because she loves his assistant, but he's kind of older and not that physically appealing, and she's got the hots for the mentally challenged stable hand, who's like just Mr. Studley McDudley. So best of both worlds, man. Take the brain of one and put it in the body of the other. Problem solved. Or is it? Yeah. Going back, to the father's creation, raging around, killing those responsible for the gathering of its parts. I think that's helped kind of explains the baffling conclusion of this movie, which really doesn't end as much as it just kind of like stops. It's like, all right, we're done. Boom. Credits. No credits. The end, I think. But yeah, again, all the films are marred by slow pacing. Although back in the day, I don't think they would have been considered slow paced. It's just we're so used now to something happening every 5 to 10 minutes that a movie taking its time and enjoying its atmosphere and castle sets and, you know, having women walk around with candelabras up and down, you know, cobwebbed hallways in the dark, which is like, you know, your mileage will vary. I will be getting the future volumes of these over time, but yeah, and I'll definitely be revisiting all of these. Although I'm pretty sure that of the four, The Monster of the Opera and Lady Frankenstein are probably going to be the ones that I watch the most. But that was my viewing for the week, and hey, man, what a way to spend a week! Reading wise, I finished the zombie film From White Zombie to World War Z, and as I said last week, this really was just kind of like Zombie Movie 101. You know, it starts at the very beginning with like White Zombie. I think I can bring that up there. And goes through all the way to you know, the Resident Evil and World War Z. I'm going to see if I can. So it actually ends with the release of World War Z, which actually I think is probably the apex, because that was like a close to $200 million movie that made $500 million. But I will say that it held my attention, although this is again one of those books where it's like you're getting it for a collection of the stills, and it gives a lot of synopsis, not a lot of critical study, just a lot of synopsis of that. But I think the first 6 chapters really held my attention. The 7th chapter I kind of waned, and then I kind of was getting me back around the 7th, or I don't know. There came a point where I just kind of started fading out of the subject matter. So mileage varies, but you know, again, they are, The Blind Dead. Hopefully, The Blind Dead will make a return. I didn't get the Blue Underground box set of the Blind Dead movies, so I'm hoping that at some point I'll be able to get the Blind Dead movies. But that was my that's the one book that I finished, and I also started, I'm about 2 chapters in on Kaiju number 8, which is a manga about the guy that gets turned into a monster to fight other monsters, and I'm a monster guy, so of course I'm reading it and enjoying it. So okay, I don't think, no soundtracks added to the collection this week. And as far as puzzles go, I finished the Braun Castle puzzle and have put together an assembly video, which will go live next Monday at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which will be the time frame for puzzle assembly videos. What else is there? There is no trail cam video as yet. I got about 5 seconds of a raccoon climbing over the fence and walking through the backyard, but with the stormy weather and cold, it's been pretty quiet. Maybe they'll start coming back, you know, probably in March. But you know, not much more to talk about on that front. So let us journey over to the Wayback Machine. And Sam, come here. What are you doing, Samworth? Go back to the Wayback Machine. Wayback Machine? What do you say? English, much good I speak. So, for newspaper ads, for the days of the 16th through the 20th? Yeah. So we're going to start on February 16th. In 1990, Clive Barker's Nightbreed opened, and I went and saw it on the big screen. I saw it at I think it was the Alexandria Theater on Geary. I remember liking it, but also thinking that it felt kind of off emotionally. It was just kind of like something wasn't connecting somewhere with it. There was just like, and I will admit I haven't seen the director's cut or the alternate cuts that Scream Factory and other places have made available. I know that there is an expanded cut on Shudder, and I will probably be watching that within the next month because I've stumbled across this. Also, I mentioned last week about the Twilight Zone that Ed Bryant had did a review of. Do I have it here? Yes. Find it and then immediately close the magazine. Did a review of Cabal, which was the book that Nightbreed is based off of, or the novella, which set up a series he never followed through on. So I don't know if that had the failure of Nightbreed was the reason for that or not, but I also think worth mentioning. Well, one, from that you could tell by the ad that 20th Century Fox or the distributor didn't have any idea how to friggin' market the movie. And also, I did have at one point the complete run of Nightbreed comics. I think it lasted 20 or 30 issues, maybe. I also had Hellraiser comics, and I also know that I had the complete run of the Fright Night comics. But they're all gone now. So it goes. Also, February 16th, 1978, and James Toback's acclaimed drama Fingers is poised to open around the Bay Area. Harvey Keitel plays a man being torn apart by his talents and familial obligations. Is he going to become a respectable or respected concert pianist, or will he continue on being a feared and fearsome enforcer for the mob? I don't know the answer to that question. I guess I could watch the movie at some point and find out. It's supposed to be a really good movie, and Keitel is supposed to be incredible in it. But it's one of those that I know of by osmosis, but haven't seen yet. February 17th, 1989, The Burbs opens. And despite struggling with the same third act issues that had hampered Explorers in 1985, the movie, because it starred Tom Hanks, who was on the upswing at this time, it did okay, and has gone on to become one of director Joe Dante's more popular and endearing films. It also has yet another excellent score by Jerry Goldsmith, of course. When Goldsmith and Dante worked together, their pairings always sparked just a phenomenal score. I mean, Gremlins, Explorers, Inner Space, The Burbs. I think even Small Soldiers and Looney Tunes Back in Action also had excellent scores. Dante and Goldsmith just really they worked well together. I think really. Yeah. Also February 17th, but in 1931, here's an ad for the March 1931 issue of True Detective Mysteries. At some point in the 30s, or maybe in the 40s, they would drop the mysteries and it would just become True Detective. By this time, I think they had segued from publishing fiction to publishing nonfiction, as those were true crime was being really popular. And everybody loved crime stories at that time. They still do, actually. So there you go, True Detective. True Detective Mysteries, actually. February 17th, 1931. Okay, up and ahead, 46 years to February 18th, 1977. And regional filmmaker Charles B. Pierce, who I might sneeze here, who I might know, or who's most famous to me for his debut feature, The Legend of Boggy Creek. His sophomore effort here, I believe, took a stab, no pun intended, at the true unsolved crime genre with The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is an awesome title. I think one of the reasons, having made a Bigfoot exploitation movie with The Legend of Boggy Creek, this was more of a narrative film, but it also had the same kind of nonfiction elements that The Legend of Boggy Creek had. And this was clearly, in the proximity to the pop culture attention-grabbing and unsolved Zodiac killings in the San Francisco Bay Area, or in San Francisco, no doubt aided in his decision to craft this fictionalization of a series of unsolved murders that occurred in Texarkana in 1946. And that paid off, too. The movie was a box office hit, although probably not well received with critics. It made bank. Also on February 18th, also in 1977, that was a Friday, while The Town That Dreaded Sundown was unspooling at the local theaters, on TV we had the broadcast premiere of Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry, which I do remember seeing on the big screen and enjoying immensely until I got my mind blown by the oh-so-1970s style ending. I also had a tendency to refer to it as Dirty Larry and Crazy Mary, because, let's just say, Dirty Harry. So, also, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, come on, they're definitely invoking Dirty Harry. And it's a great car chase movie. And the very 70s ending. If you know, you know. Okay. February 19th, in 1989, Parents is going to be coming out soon, on February 24th, actually, at a limited engagement or exclusive engagement at the Shattuck Cinema in Berkeley. I didn't see Parents until it was on home video. But damn, this is one dark, unsettling, and unnerving black comedy. And the one thing I do remember most is a scene where young Michael questions his parents, questions his dad, is why they're always having leftovers. They never have they never have anything that is left over. They never have anything that leads to leftovers. It's always leftovers, And he goes, what were they before they were leftovers? To which his dad replies, leftovers to be. I think it was the directorial debut of Bob Balaban, the character actor as well. But yeah, it's a weird and unsettling movie. Very, very dark and leftovers to be. February 19th, 1926, and we have an ad for the March 1926 issue of Woman's Home Companion. There is a short story titled The Kiss by a writer named Lillian Rogers. I do not know if that was the same Lillian Rogers that was the seamstress at the White House. Might have been, but I don't know. Closing out the week, we have On February 20th, 1976, a double feature of two exploitation movies helmed by Nick Millard, credited as Nick Phillips on Criminally Insane and as Philip Miller on Satan's Black Wedding. The IMDb has the runtime of both Criminally Insane and Satan's Black Wedding, being 1 hour and 1 minute apiece. Kind of shocking that they got theatrical play being an hour long, but put them together, it's 2 hours. So you gotta, and you could squeeze in more shows. Who wouldn't want to go see Criminally Insane and Satan's Black Wedding? Criminally Insane tells the tale of an obese woman that kills anyone that dare try and stop her from eating, at least according to the IMDb. And Satan's Black Wedding looks to be a vampire film of some sort. I also found out that character actor George Buck Flower, who I know best for his appearances in numerous John Carpenter movies. He was on The Seagrass and The Fog. He was wearing the tracking device of the president in Escape from New York. He popped up in Starman, giving Starman a lift. He gives Starman a cigarette. He says, "What do you do?" And Starman says, "I make maps." That guy. And he was also, he had his best role in They Live as the turncoat homeless guy that decides to sell out his own kind to make some money. But beyond that, you're on your own. Closing out the week. Closing at February 20th, 1927. Another ad for H.C. Capwell's book department. This one advertising the availability of The Green Forest by Natalie Sedgwick Colby. Seems to be her first novel. And it's about a mother and daughter making an Atlantic crossing. And then a book titled The Dark Fire by Eleanor Mordaunt, which I could not find any kind of information, much less a cover about, but considering the rather racially suspect language or descriptive thing where it's here, a South Sea Island story of the conflict between a white woman and a dark woman for the possession of a man's soul and body, unfolded in a novel of vivid color and intense emotional power. Okay. I don't know. Can't find anything about this book anywhere, and maybe it's for the best. I don't know. You tell me. Do you know this book? Have you read this book? Have you seen this book? Have you read The Green Forest by Natalie Sedgwick Colby? I'd be interested. Leave it in a comment. If not, if you've made it this far, I don't know. But that is what it was for this week, give or take a day, and I'll be talking at you in the next one. So, bye. I'll see you later.